It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com from the Anger Management release, which is something Chris can identify with. That's You Suck, Chris. Thanks. And since this is something that you kind of spearheaded, right. I'm going to let the fans, take a beating on you or maybe even worship at your feet. But why don't you go right ahead and make your big announcement?
All right. Well, it's not so much of an announcement as, anybody that's listened to the show in the last, year anyway, since my book came out, knows that one of the things that I have long been trying to do for this last year, daily, is to calm a lot of the rage and the anger and the pissed offness of me.
Is that a word, pissed offness?
Pissed offness. And one of the ways I've been doing it is slowly but surely ending a lot of problems. And I haven't brought it to the show yet. I had not done that. But I got an email from this guy who wanted to kind of put things to bed. And I think I probably surprised you and everybody else when I said, okay. So on the phone right now, I'm going to welcome from Talking Metal, Mark Strigl. Mark, how are you, man?
Good, man. Good. After 9 years of being featured on the Classic Metal Show, I thought it was about time I actually call up and talk to you guys in person. So, hello.
Well, welcome of sorts. Obviously, you and I have had quite a dialogue going on in the last couple of weeks. And one of the things, and I'm going to solve this before anybody even starts with the chat room and with the emails and whatever. We're not going to go and start arguing back and forth about everything that's gone on. You and I both kind of worked all that stuff out, and we're going to start from here. Sounds fair, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And listen, everybody has opinions. I know a lot of your listeners don't like our show. I'm sure there's a lot of our listeners that don't like your show, and opinions are good. It's good that we're all out there believing in different causes.
Sure. Well, Mark, one of the reasons that I think it came to be after this long is that it just doesn't make sense anymore to be bashing each other. I mean, in a way, at the time when everything was going on, there was a lot of shows out there. There was a lot of people that were doing, that were trying to do what we all do. And it has slowly dwindled away to where it's basically us, you, and Eddie Trunk, and that's really about it.
It really is. I mean, I was trying to think, when did you guys actually start podcasting? Because I know the streaming thing has been going on for decades, right?
Yeah, we've been streaming since 2003, and I think we started podcasting in 2007 or 8, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
Well, you're right. I mean, there's been so many podcasts that have come and gone, and whether you like us or you hate us, we're both here. We're both still standing, and it's time. Listen, it's time we actually talk to one another and have a dialogue going. It doesn't mean we have to agree on everything. It doesn't mean you even have to like what I do on my show. But hey, let's get the dialogue going.
Right.
Well, Mark, I got this is the clueless and pathetic one, by the way. This is Neeley.
Okay.
So I got to ask you, at what point were you cued in that we picked up on what you guys were doing and we were kind of goofing on you the first time?
I don't know if it was the first time, but I think it was pretty early on. I mean, we started podcasting in 2005. I mean, it seems like sometime in 2006. I don't even know. I would say early 2006.
Well, how did you find out?
And I don't know if it was an email from you guys or an email from one of your listeners, but I think we were clued in immediately.
Now, how much of it did you listen to when you were told that hey, there's these guys goofing on you? Did you tune in right away or check it out, or what did you do? I mean, what was your reaction?
I think initially I was listening to quite a bit of what you guys were doing, and then I kind of tuned it out and phased it out, ignored it. And then once, like Chris, you were gone for a while, right? You were gone for like a year or two or something. And,
I was gone.
Yeah, and I guess when you came back, I there was a few podcasts that I heard you do, or interviews I heard you do through Blabbermouth, and I started to get kind of a different opinion, thinking, these guys actually do pretty good interviews. And over time, my curiosity kind of got to me, and I started checking stuff out, and including the more recent stuff that you guys were kind of poking fun at us, So I don't know how many of them I've heard, but I've heard enough to know what goes on.
Well, sure. Well, man. As we move forward with everything, what is going on with Talking Metal? Because outside looking in, it just looks like you guys don't have the same amount of time that you used to do it, and it seems like you're a lot more sporadic, where you guys used to be a lot more scheduled, and it seemed like every week you guys did one.
Yeah, we do. I'm doing. I do Talking Metal. I do another show called Metal Raps, and then I produce and edit and co-host a show called One on One with Mitch LaFawn. So I'm posting 3 to 4 podcasts a week. So there was a time in probably 2011 into 2012 where things did get slow, and we weren't devoting as much time to it. We were still putting up, at least 2-3 shows, sometimes 4 shows a month. But yeah, it definitely slowed down for a couple of years. But I feel like right now we're back full steam. Just throwing stuff up constantly. There's always a show that goes up once a week, usually on Tuesdays.
Sure.
At least, for the last year and a half.
Right. Now, I just got to ask straight up, how annoying does astronomy get with the constant Ace references? Because, man, it annoys me.
It doesn't bother me. I love Ace, and, it's such a big part of his life. It always has been, even before he was working with the guy. So it never bothers me.
Sure. Well, Mark, there's something that I've been curious about for several years now. Not only did we goof on Talking Metal, but we've goofed on other shows too. And a guy that, actually both of the guys you interviewed on Talking Metal was the two guys referring to themselves as Dirt Talk, the Rev and Black Metal Ray.
Yeah.
And the Rev was somebody that we actually reached out to very early on, and his audio quality was just horrid. Just overmodulated and just terrible. So we actually said, hey, we'll help you with your audio, because I'm an audio engineer, and I got a full broadcast studio and, the whole thing. And we threw it out there to him. We kind of goofed on him at first and said, okay, it was a joke. We were just kind of goofing on you. Actually, we'd like to help you. And he basically said, fuck you guys. I want nothing to do with you. Forget it. And so on and so forth. But long story short, he ended up being a part of, interview with you guys. And his main reason for doing that, at least from my viewpoint, was to give the big fuck you to the Classic Metal Show, which you guys edited out, and you just crushed his dream. So,
I do remember that. I haven't thought of it in years, but you're right. That's exactly what happened.
So when you edited that out and it didn't play for him, he was just like so deflated. What was your thought process when you decided, I'm not going to include that in the podcast?
My thought process was that at that point I knew you guys were bagging on me, and I just felt like it was my plan was to never mention you guys on the show, and he mentioned you guys, so I stuck with my plan and edited him, and cut that out of his interview.
He was just so disappointed. I still have the audio of him discussing his interview, and just like, those guys edited it out. I made a strong statement.
You want to hear something weird? It's weird you brought that up, because like 2 weeks ago I got an email. It wasn't even an email. It was like a instant message or something on Facebook from a guy who said. He said, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I used to do a show called Dirt Talk. This is my new show. And he sent me a link, which I didn't click on and didn't listen to. And I replied to him. I said, "Oh, okay. Is this Black Metal Ray?" And he never replied back.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, feel free to forward that link to me, sir.
I should. I got to find that. I will do that, actually.
Well, the Rev has gone through several transformations. He's become Jake Rosenthal, and he's become J.S. Bannerman, and he's got one more name out there, but he's done all kinds of strange things and changed his name each time. So, very odd guy.
Wow. How did you stay up to date and everything he was up to?
Believe me, our fans are spot on.
Let me, and that was something I said in the email that you and I were having, the conversation you and I were having back and forth, Mark. Most of the stuff, at least in the last 2 years, comes from the fans. I mean, they are constant.
Your fans are definitely. I'll give your fans credit. Because I've gotten into it with your fans on message boards, and even recently there was some guy. I was tagged in something. I think Mitch tagged me in something, and then somebody, Mitch LaFawn, that is the guy I do one-on-one with Mitch LaFawn with, and some guy started going off on us, and it was like he never mentioned you guys, but it was like classic metal show banter. It's like, I can't believe you're working with Mark Strigl. The guy is a Axl Rose stalker, and he goes to Best Buy and stalks people, and he begs for PayPal donations. And I just knew, I was just like, classic metal show.
Well, that brings up a good question, Mark, and I'm only asking this because I'm truly curious, because I really don't know the answer, and we've had this discussion on the show. I'm sure you know Bob Nalbandian.
Yeah, I just spoke with him like 48 hours ago.
Okay, well, Bob's a real good friend of ours. We've known Bob for years. We've gone to dinners and, all kinds of stuff. But Bob's a good guy. Well, we've had this discussion, and I since I have you on the phone and I've never spoken to you before, maybe you can answer the question. Now, during your podcast, you mentioned the PayPal, throw a PayPal toward us, or, check out these links or whatever. What is the money for?
It's just to go in my pocket. I mean, it's a show of appreciation from the listeners.
But what does it do for you? I mean, does it go in your pocket? Does it go toward developing the show? What is it?
Well, sure. I mean, I for a while I was paying to do a live stream. I'm not doing that anymore. But yeah, it goes in my pocket. I mean, it I guess you could say, it goes back into paying for the costs that we have, which granted aren't a lot, but there are some costs, and it's something everyone does. Not everyone, because you guys don't do it, but listen, I listened to the Eddie Trunk podcast. I was blown away when the guy went on for 5 minutes about using his Amazon links, and I mean, geez, I never go on as long as he does. I mean, sure, I'll talk about it for 2 or 3 minutes, and whenever I do, I usually end up getting $40 PayPal donation, or people use these Amazon links, so it's easy enough to say, and it's easy money, So it's not paying my bills. I have a good job. I have money, but it's a little something extra that I think it's fair to ask for.
Okay. I'm just curious because I've never had that philosophy with the CMS in almost 20 years of doing this. And believe me, my monthly overhead for just running the CMS and the 24 streams and the licensing fees and everything is about a $200 a month nut to cover. But I would never think of asking the fan for $1.
Right. Well, that's fine and well. You don't have to. But, I mean, you have guys like Adam Carolla. I mean, he has a lot more money than I do. And he's telling people to use his Amazon links when you listen to his show, and maybe he's not asking for PayPal donations, but he is plugging sponsors, telling people to use links. So I don't think it's that odd of a thing, like I feel like you guys have made it out to be on your show. But, hey, it's each his own.
Sure. All right. Well, I was just curious. I didn't know if there was some big overhead that you were trying to cover or whatever, but I guess the answer is it goes in your pocket for whatever reason. So that answered my question.
Excellent. Well, Mark, let's talk a little bit of music. Obviously, if we do one thing the same, it's we both listen to and cover this genre of music. So, what are you hearing that's good, and what are you hearing that's not?
Well, I mean, good. 2014 releases. Wow, it's just off the top of my head, but I mean, Alstorm. I'm really digging the Sunset on the Golden Age album, which is, I guess you'd call it, Viking or pirate metal. I think it's great. I saw these guys in concert up at Heavy Montreal, and the crowd was just on fire. They were on fire, and I think it's really fun to see young guys under 30 just bringing great sounding, hooky hard rock and heavy metal back. So Alstorm I like a lot. Not to be confused with Halstorm, of course. I like the KXM record that came out, with Lynch and Pinnock. I think that has some strong stuff. Marty Friedman's new one, Inferno, I think is really good. There's a guy from Jersey named Mike LaPond from Symphony X who has a new record out called Silent Assassins. That's a really good one.
Any thoughts on Rated X with Carmine Appice and Joe Lynn Turner?
No, not really. I need to check that out. I do need to check that out.
I like it. I'm a big Joe Lynn Turner fan, but I like it. I like to see these veteran guys who, they might be pushing 60 or even 70 and they still haven't lost their steam. So that to me is just amazing in itself.
Yeah.
Oh, I used one of your words, amazing.
Right, yes. It is. I'll admit to that, definitely.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the Ace, which
that's brilliant.
Well, we can't take credit for it. We have a guy who does all our production work all on his own, and he basically came up with that, and he just sends in his production work to us at his leisure. So we think it's funny.
Yeah, no, I thought that was brilliant. I mean,
now did John hear it?
Hour? That's great.
Did John hear it? Did John hear it?
I don't think so. Not that I know of.
All right.
Not that I know of.
Well, Mark, is there anything else you want to cover while you got the air?
No, man. I'm glad to finally talk with you guys, and feel free to keep ragging on me. I'm not looking for you to stop. I'm not asking that. I just wanted to at least talk to you guys in person, and I think it's time. After 9 years,
sure,
it's time.
Sure. Well, you've been a good sport about it, coming on the show, and see, it wasn't so bad. It wasn't as bad as a trip to the dentist or anything like that.
No. I appreciate you guys being courteous, and I guess could I plug a little something?
Yeah, go right ahead. Throw them all out there.
We got episode 500 of Talking Metal coming up, and we have what I think we have 5 interviews. We're going to do 5 interviews in episode 500, and I really think one of them is going to be super big. It's Phil Anselmo, and I think he tells a story. I'm fairly certain he tells a story that's never, ever been heard before. So I'm psyched to get that out to the listeners, and I think Pantera fans and metal fans are going to enjoy this episode.
Well, good. Well, I know Chris will check it out. Right, Chris?
Absolutely. Certainly.
Phil's his boy.
Yep.
Yeah, and Chris, man, thanks for sending the Dimebag interview. I mean, it gave me chills, really, knowing that you did that interview with Dimebag on the day he died. I mean, say what you want about Chris Aiken. That interview kicks ass, and that is heavy metal history right there.
I'm a legend.
Yeah, there you go.
He is. All right, Mark. Well, we appreciate you taking a few minutes and, dialing that phone. I'm sure it probably was, you had a little trepidation there, but regardless, you lived through it, and now you got a story to tell your children and your wife.
Sure.
History has been made.
It has.
I don't know if anybody cares except the 3 of us, but hey, we did it.
Right.
Oh, I got a chat room saying something else.
All right.
Well, Mark, I'll let you pick a song from a band, from an album, whatever you want. If I have it, I'll play it for you. You got something you'd like to hear?
Let me think here. Well, we could. Do you have the Alstorm record?
I don't think I do.
No. Okay.
Let's go old school. Let's go more classic metal.
More classic metal. How about Still Life by Iron Maiden?
I think we can do that. Let me dig up the old Iron Maiden catalog here.
Peace of mind.
There you go. All right, Mark, is that all you want to plug? You said you had 2 or 3 shows.
Oh, well, that's coming up in about a week, episode 500. But, yeah, I mean, just check out the website, talkingmetal.com.
All right.
And also, check out Mitch LaFawn's show, One-on-One with Mitch LaFawn, also on talkingmetal.com.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's jump into some Iron Maiden. And, Mark, feel free to call in and tune in anytime.
Oh, yeah. Call you next week.
All right.
All right.
All right, Mark. Well, here it is. This is Iron Maiden from the Peace of Mind release. And this is Still Life exclusively here. Where, Mark?
The Classic Metal Show.